Hello, my little technocrats. Today we are going to learn about data storage media. Now, we have already learned about various parts of computers, various components of computers. We have talked about the input devices, we have talked about output devices, and we have talked about processing devices. But what happens to the data that we send to a computer? Now, like your brain stores information that your body receives or your mind receives from the world and stores this information inside your different parts of brain. In the similar way, the computer also stores the data and instructions in its brain. This is called in its CPU, and this storage is called data storage media. So we will be learning about different types of data storage media. We will be seeing what are different memory storages, what are the units of memory, and what are the types of computer memory. All these things we will be covering in this video. So the data and instructions that are entered into a computer system through input devices are stored in some storage media. This storage media is known as memory. Now, for example, if I write a command with keyboard you know is an input device. So the computer will have to store this information somewhere. Or if you sing a song or if you give an audio command using a microphone, this has to be stored in the storage media in the computer. So this storage media is known as memory. Now, memory storage, let's learn about that. So a computer processes and stores data and instructions in the form of two digits only, 0 and 1. Now what happens is that, like we use many words or letters or syllables, the computer does not use all these normal languages. Computer understands binary language, and binary means only two digits, 0 and 1. So these digits are called binary digits, or in short bits. These bits are carried by electric circuits and stored on tiny chips. The chips are made up of silicon. A small silicon chip is covered with millions of circuits. These chips are mounted on the daughter board, which is inside the motherboard of a computer. Now, if you remember when we were talking about generations of computer, we saw first how information was stored in vacuum tubes, how it was stored in ICs, on transistors. And in the fourth generation computer, we started storing information on silicon chips. So let me again show you how a silicon chip look like. These are the silicon chips. These chips you can see, these are tiny chips and information is stored on these silicon chips. Now this silicon chip is mounted on a daughter board. So see, this is a motherboard and motherboard contains a daughter board. Now what happens is that these chips, they are mounted on a daughter board. Then the daughter board is placed on motherboard. Now the motherboard contains all the other necessary circuitry of the computer, all the necessary circuits or all the necessary parts which are required to power a computer are stored on the motherboard. So motherboard is the whole this board, circuit board. In that we have daughter board, and on daughter board we keep silicon chips. Let me show you. So see, this is a motherboard, this entire thing is a motherboard, and this is a daughter board. So on this daughter board you can see there are chips. These chips are silicon chips. See, these black chips, these are the chips, these are silicon chips which are having the information stored in them. Now first let us understand about the units of memory. Now we need unit to measure any quantity. For example, we use liters to measure liquids, and we use meters to measure length. Now if I want to measure your height, I will be measuring it in centimeters or meter or feet or inches. Or if I want to see what is my weight, I will be measuring it in kilograms or kgs. Similarly, data can be measured in bits, bytes, and other units. Bit is the smallest unit of information which a computer can process and store. So a group of 4 bits is called a nibble. 1 bit is a bit, then 4 bits is called a nibble, and a group of 8 bits is called a byte. So first comes bit, then comes nibble, then comes byte. A computer memory is stored in the form of bits and bytes. So let us learn about higher units of memory. So 1 kilobyte. Now first we learned about bit, then we learned about nibble, then we learned about byte. Now higher than byte, we will get 1 kilobyte. What is 1 kilobyte? It is 1024 bytes. So 1024 bytes will make a kilobyte. Then megabyte. 1 megabyte is 1024 kilobytes. Then comes gigabyte, GB. 1 GB is equal to 1024 megabytes. Then comes terabyte. So 1 terabyte is 1024 gigabytes. And 1 petabyte. Petabyte is equal to 1024 terabytes. So as you can see, it is all multiplied in the table of 4. So that because one bit, you do not store 1 or 2 bits like this, you save the bit or you store the bit in the groups of 4 or 8. So that's why this is all multiples of 4 and 8. Okay, a bit can either store 0 or 1. Therefore, bits are combined together into larger units to hold greater range of values. Now let us learn about types of computer memory. So first of all, the computer memory can be classified in two main categories. These are primary memory and secondary memory. So a computer will have a primary memory and a secondary memory. What is included in primary memory? So primary memory is known as the main memory of the computer. It is the inbuilt memory that is inside the CPU. It stores data or instructions currently used by the computer. The minimum size of a primary memory is 256 megabyte. We can increase its size anytime, and it is divided into ROM and RAM. I will teach you about ROM and RAM, but let me first explain this concept of primary memory and secondary memory to you. Now, you must be using a mobile phone or a tablet. So in a mobile phone or in your tablet, you will see that there is one internal memory. So that is the primary memory of your device, of your mobile phone or tablet. Then if you want to expand that memory, if you want to store more games or more videos or more songs in your mobile phone or tablet, you put a SD card or you put a USB drive or some other chip you put inside your phone so that you can expand the memory. So that is the secondary memory. Similarly, our computers or our laptop also have system like that. First, we have inbuilt memory that should be minimum 256 megabytes. And later on, we can add more hard disk or we can add CD-ROMs or we can add pen drives and expand this to terabytes and petabytes as much as we want to expand. So let's first of all learn about primary memory. Now ROM means read-only memory. ROM keeps the data permanently. The memory is non-volatile in nature. What do you mean by non-volatile in nature? That means even if the electricity goes or even if your computer is power off, the information which is stored on your computer does not get erased. It will stay on the computer. So even when a computer is switched off, its data does not get lost. Now see, I've got some files on my computer. Okay, even if, for example, this document that I'm using to show this video to you, this file is saved on my computer. Now by chance, if electricity goes or by chance if my computer switches off, this data, this document will not be lost. If I restart my computer, I will again find this document right there and I can use it once again. So this is ROM. It is non-volatile in nature. Computers always have a small amount of read-only memory that holds instructions for starting the computer. So there are three different kinds of ROM. Whenever you start a computer, you have a ROM which tells you what to start. So like your Windows will start or whatever operating system you're using will start. Let me show you the photograph of a ROM. So this is a ROM. This is how ROM looks like. There are three main types of ROM. First is PROM, PROM. PROM refers to programmable read-only memory. Now PROM is a memory chip on which we can store a program. But once the PROM has been used, we cannot wipe it clean and use it to store something else. It can be programmed only under special conditions. Now PROMs are non-volatile. Now what it says is that on this ROM or in this memory chip, you can store only program once. And once the PROM has been used, you cannot wipe it clean and you cannot store something else on it until unless it is under special conditions. So usually what happens is that your computer's operating system or main applications are stored on PROM. Then comes EPROM. EPROM refers to erasable programmable read-only memory. We can erase it, stored information by exposing it to ultraviolet light. EPROMs are cheap and reliable and hence they are widely used. So if you put something on EPROM, if you store some information on EPROM, you can erase that information by using the ultraviolet light. EEPROM refers to electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Now the information written on it can be erased using electrical signals. Now for erasing this information you use ultraviolet light, and for this EEPROM you use electrical signals. Then comes RAM. RAM is random access memory or RAM. Okay, let me show you a photograph of RAM first. See, this is how RAM looks like. This is typically how RAM looks like. RAM refers to read and write memory. We can both write data into RAM and also read from it. This is in contrast to ROM, which permits only reading of data. So in ROM you can only read the data, in RAM you can read data also and write it also, so means you can even edit the data. In RAM, the memory stores information in form of electrical signals. RAM is volatile in nature. Now what that means is that suppose I'm writing something on RAM, and if I do not, like for example, if I'm writing something on a MS Word document and I have not saved it, so by the time I save it, the information stays on RAM. Now if the electricity goes or if my computer is turned off, my document will be lost. So that is why I have to use the Control S command, or I have to click the save button to save my data from RAM to ROM, so that even if the light goes or even if my computer is switched off, I can again access that data. So RAM is volatile in nature. Whenever the power fails or the computer is switched off, all the information that has been stored in it is lost. RAM is small both in physical size and in the amount of data it can store. It is much smaller than a hard disk. Now a typical computer may come with 256 million bytes of RAM and a hard disk of 40 billion bytes. RAM comes in the form of discrete separate microchips. Data resides in RAM until it is saved on hard disk. So I just now explained it to you. Till you save the data on these on the hard disk or on secondary data, it stays on the RAM. So this is how it looks like. It looks like chips. Next, we will talk about secondary memory. So secondary memory is used to store information for a longer period of time. It is needed because internal storage of computer is insufficient to store and save large amount of data for future reference and retrieval. Hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD and pen drive are common kinds of secondary memory. Now secondary memory is also known as the backup memory. Now you know that if you store a lot of songs on your computer or a lot of data on your computer, then your computer space will get full. So that is why you need some sort of secondary memory which can save your data and you can use it again and again and again. So the most popular secondary memory is known as hard disk. As you know, most computers, they have a hard disk built inside them. So a hard disk is fixed inside the cabinet of a CPU. What is CPU? Central Processing Unit. So let me first show you hard disk. See, this is how a hard disk looks like. Let me also talk about the components of hard disk. So see, it has a disk, it has a tracking arm, it has a disk head, and it has a sealed container. See, these are the components of hard disk. A hard disk is fixed inside the cabinet of a CPU. It is made up of many rigid metal plates coated to store data magnetically. A hard disk rotates while recording the data. So whenever you are storing a data, this hard disk, it keeps on spinning. It will spin like you spin a CD or any other DVD. So it keeps on spinning while you write the data on this hard disk. Its rotation speed is measured in the unit of revolutions per minute, which is called RPM. Nowadays, portable hard disks are also available. So those portable hard disks are called external hard disk. Let me show you external hard disk. See, this is how external hard disk look. So these are they are not programmed inside the computer. They are outside the computer, and you can store data even in these hard disks. See, this is the example of a portable hard disk. The normal storage capacity of a hard disk installed inside a Pentium Core i3 machine nowadays is 500 gigabytes, 500 GB. And due to a large storage capacity, it is preferred to store all important data into hard disk. The data stored in it can be retrieved very fast. So that means it is also non-volatile in nature. We'll talk about the remaining storage devices in the next video. So please click on the next video to watch the second part. Goodbye.